Ever thought you might be accidentally harming your brand without even noticing? It happens more often than we think. That's why, as brand owners, staying informed about potential pitfalls is important. Being aware of dangers will ensure our brands will thrive in today's competitive business world. Hello and welcome to Solid Brands, your go-to destination for captivating stories and success behind extraordinary brands. Today, we've outlined 7 deadly sins that, if consistently committed, could spell disaster for your brand. Some mistakes take effect over time, let's say a few years, and some will take just a few days or weeks. If you're ready to avoid these sins, let's get into the video. Coming up at deadly sin number 7. Brand inconsistency. Inconsistency in branding or product quality can lead to confusion among consumers, leaving them unsure of what they'll get from your brand, which eventually will lose their trust and ultimately contribute to a brand's failure. Take Yahoo, for instance. From 2007 to 2017, Yahoo experienced multiple CEO changes, including leaders like Terry Semel, Jerry Yang, Carol Bartz, Scott Thompson, and Marissa Mayer. This constant turnover without a clear vision made it challenging for them to uphold a consistent brand image in the market. Similarly, Radio Shack attempted numerous rebranding efforts to stay current, even renaming itself The Shack. The renaming, which occurred in 2009 as part of their efforts to refresh their image, lacks consistency, failing to connect with consumers. As a result, the company encountered financial struggles. So be cautious of brand inconsistency, because it can become the downfall of your brand. Always strive to maintain a reliable brand image. Remember to consistently deliver on your promises to build lasting trust with your audience. Moving on to deadly sin number 6, betraying brand identity. Think of a brand without its identity like a person without a personality. It's hard to connect. A solid brand identity is the glue that keeps customers coming back and makes a brand stand out. When a brand loses its identity, it's going to be tough to stand out, and it just can't keep loyal followers. Let's talk about JCPenney's rebranding effort led by CEO Ron Johnson in 2012. They eliminated sales and promotions and went for constant low prices to change things. But that didn't go along with their regular customers, leading to a decline in sales. Eventually, the CEO got the boot due to the brand's shakeup. Another example would be the Gap's logo change in 2010. They aimed to give their image a modern twist, but ended up stirring trouble. The new logo was a far cry from their classic blue box and faced harsh feedback from the public. The change prompted Gap to swiftly retreat to its original logo due to the overwhelmingly negative response. Betraying your brand's identity can be a brand killer, so it's important to avoid falling into this trap at all costs. Always stay true to the essence of your brand. Only make changes cautiously and ensure they align with your brand to maintain trust with your audience. Now let's go look at deadly sin number 5, competing outside the market. Ever met a brand that's like a friend trying to be buddies with everyone? Let's call it the jack of all trades, master of none brand. They want to impress and be everything to everyone. But you know what they say about that? Successful brands aiming to please everyone end up not being the champ in anything specific. Let's look at Bic, a brand famous for making disposable pens and lighters. It tried its hand at the disposable underwear market in the 1970s, but people just couldn't wrap their heads around Bic selling undies since the brand wasn't known for clothing. So it was a total miss with buyers and ended up flopping in sales. Bic soon stopped making disposable underwear shortly after they started. Straying too far from your market can be a serious brand blunder, especially if it's not thought out and executed well. So, always ensure that before venturing into new territories, do your homework. Understand your brand's strengths and align them with your brand's identity. And if you're branching out, make sure it complements your existing strengths. A good example of successful brand diversification is Disney, as it started with animated movies and theme parks, as its core then expanded into different industries, including television networks, resorts, and more recently, the streaming service Disney+. Their success lies in retaining their identity of storytelling across these diverse ventures. Then we have the deadly sin number 4, brand expansion. Brand expansion is when a brand you already know goes into trying out different products or new services. Instead of inventing a whole new brand, they use their famous name to jump into new territory. It sounds awesome, right? But most of the time, these new adventures leave the brand feeling a bit battered and the new thing struggling to find its place. Think about Pepsi back in 1992 when they launched Crystal Pepsi, a clear cola. It didn't click with people who were used to the classic colors and tastes of cola. And just a year later, in around 1993, Pepsi discontinued Crystal Pepsi due to its inability to resonate with consumers. Similar to Pepsi, Frito-Lay ventured into the beverage scene with a line of lemonades. However, the lemonades didn't catch on with consumers as well, and ended up not being a hit in the market. The product was pulled from shelves shortly after its 1998 introduction. Remember that when you're eyeing brand expansion, it's important to stick close to your brand's essence. Test the waters cautiously, ensuring your expansion is about doing what you do best, just a bit more. So before going into new territories, take a good look at your brand's core. Let's have deadly sin number 3, sacrificing good quality. Quality issues can significantly impact a brand's reputation. Consumers typically associate a brand with certain expectations regarding the quality of its products. When a brand fails to meet these, it can result in a loss of loyalty. Here are a few examples of brand failures that experienced quality issues. In 2000, Firestone tires used mainly on Ford Explorer SUVs were faulty. These caused lots of car crashes, and sadly, many people lost their lives. It was a mess that Firestone and Ford had to do a huge recall to fix things. After all this, people didn't trust their stuff anymore. Another wild one was the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 in 2016. The phones were either catching fire or blowing up. Turns out, it was the batteries, and Samsung had to do a worldwide recall. Figures suggest it was about 1.9 million phones affected. It wasn't just a financial hit for Samsung. Their reputation took a hard knock too. Understand that if have a reputable brand, never compromise the quality of your product or service. Sacrificing quality to save might seem like a quick win, but it's a gamble that often backfires. Keep your standards high and your quality consistent. Investing in quality pays off in the long run by earning customer trust and keeping a good name and reputation solid. Facing now, deadly sin number 2, brand extension. Brand extension is when a well-known brand name is used for a new product or category. It introduces new offerings by relying on the recognition of an established brand. However, if the new product doesn't fit with what people know the brand for, it can confuse or disappoint customers. Sometimes, successful brands think just using their name will make anything a hit, but it doesn't always work out that way. Take Colgate toothpaste. Have you heard about Colgate frozen meals? Well, back in the 1980s, Colgate did a complete 180 and tried going into the frozen food game in the US with their line of frozen dinners. The dinners tanked, and Colgate quickly brushed that idea under the rug, never to mention it again. Then, in 1999, Cosmopolitan, the big-name magazine, jumped into the yogurt market. But people didn't see Cosmo as a yogurt kind of brand, and it didn't last long. They stopped the yogurt extension after just 18 months. The big lesson here is crystal clear. Don't play brand roulette by using your famous name on things that don't match your brand. Stay true to what your brand stands for. Brand suicide is real, and don't fall into that trap. We have reached our deadly sin number 1, refusing to innovate and adapt. This sin is a fast track to brand irrelevance. Consumers' needs and preferences change constantly, and failing to keep up means losing touch with your audience. It's a deadly sin because, in a dynamic market, stagnation is a countdown to brand extinction. Remember Kodak? They were the kings of photography once upon a time. But when digital cameras came around, they just didn't keep up. They stuck with the old film stuff when everyone else was going digital. That reluctance to change, that's what did them in. Nowadays, well, Who knows where Kodak is, right? Then there's Blockbuster, the go-to spot for movie nights. But when online streaming came knocking, they just didn't change. They were all about those physical stores while everyone else was hitting play online. So Blockbuster couldn't keep up, and those rental stores became a thing of the past. By refusing to innovate and adapt is like stepping on a time bomb for your brand. Embrace change as your ally, not your enemy. Listen to your customers and stay ahead of the curve. There you have it, the 7 deadly sins. Before we wrap up, remember that most consumers aren't too forgiving when brands slip up, so it's important not to make these brand mistakes. Some of the genius behind this video is straight out of a book called The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding by Al Ries and Laura Ries. So if you want more details, you can grab a copy of their book and continue to learn about good branding. And if you've enjoyed this video, give this channel some support by clicking on the subscribe button and sharing your thoughts in the comment section below. Stay updated on our upcoming content by hitting the notification bell, so you'll always get notified on our next one. Until next time.